Bon. Krishna Pati Guru Mata Maharaja Krishna Swati Guru Papadma Ikete Kuriya Kya Anakuyo Mani Chahidi Shara Anuraki Su Ikanagati Dika Sadu Kiri Sara Asa Sakudana Dilu Jami Jami Sahu Deve Jami Deva Sita Saranagati Saranagati Duka Shabiti Sara Asana Sakudana Dilu Jami Jami Sahu Devi Jnana Purkasuto Pumabashija Achi Avidevi Masagati Savidiga Daharasha Ito Sudhikari Masudhika Namo Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Krishna Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinam Namaste Vishnu Hare Krishna. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, my Raj is coming a little bit in late, maybe in the next 5 minutes or so. He spoke with me a while ago. So he said we could have an option of reading or listening to the bhajan while he is preparing to come. So we should just hold on a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Please, who is this iPhone? This person was on this class yesterday, and the Maharaj was asking.
Prabhu, I think.
Huh?
Ram Prabhu.
I didn't get it.
Ram Prabhu, Ram Chandra Prabhu.
Okay, Kavicandra. Okay, I always put your name to so that you can know who the person behind the thing. Thank you very much for doing that. So we'll continue. We'll hear Bhajan for another maybe 3-4 minutes. If Maharaj didn't come by that time, we'll start according to his instruction. We'll start reading from the point we stopped yesterday before he comes in, but he's definitely coming in very soon. He's occupied with some engagement. Okay. So I'll play the Bhajan for another 5 minutes, and then if he's not back, then we'll continue. Hare Krishna. The Bhajan sound is not coming out. Okay, let's.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Is the Bhajan sound coming out?
Yeah, it's coming, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Ah, it's gone again. Hare Krishna,
What
Prabhu.
about? Yeah.
It's gone again.
Why?
Okay, it's playing, but it's okay. It's coming.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Averisastu anuyugam sahi satyavatsyam veda sumam vitapasho Ganesh. It will be very difficult for the next 10% in short time, and thus we will divide this of Vedic knowledge into different branches according to the circumstances of the particular age. So this verse talks about Srila Vyasa and Kavicandra. We all have read about it in detail in chapter 1. It comes instructions right
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Since Maharaj has not come, I think I'll have to go forward with his instructions. So we'll start with where we stopped yesterday.
Yesterday, chapter 5.
Yeah.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, you can read it. Yes, Mataji, you can go ahead.
Prabhuji, your voice is low.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can just make it a little bit more.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Can I
Okay.
start?
So you can go. Yeah, you can start, Mataji. You can start.
Yeah. The prayers, can you read? Can you read the prayers?
Just hold on. Hold on.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, so Mataji, you can start.
Yeah, please, Prabhuji, can you start with the prayers?
Okay. Oh my God. Maybe we should just read Srila Prabhupada. Let's Prabhupada chant. Let's just chant Srila Prabhupada Jara the Mother. I was actually waiting for my. Then we can start. But since we have taken so much time, I think it's almost about 30 minutes into the program. So I'll just chant Srila Prabhupada. I'll just chant the Mangalam prayer. Then we'll start.
Yeah.
Om Agyanam Timirandasya Gyanam Gyanam Shalakaya Shakshu Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam He Krishna Karuna Shindu Dinabandhu Jagat Pate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourange Radhe Vindavane Rishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mukankaroti Vachalam Pangam Lagayate Girim Yat Kripata Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Vanchakarpata Rubhyascha Kripa Sundubhya Sevascha Patitanam Pavash Nebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivachari Gaura Bhakta Vrindai Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhakti Sastri class ki jai. So we'll start reading from the place we stopped yesterday.
Yeah. Srila Rupa Goswami also says that if one is regularly discharging devotional service, there will be no question of fall down. But even if circumstantially there is some fall down, the Vaishnava need have nothing to do with the prashchitta, the ritualistic ceremony for purification. If someone fall down from the principle of devotional service, he need not take to the prashchit performance for reformation. He simply has to execute the rules and regulations for discharging devotional service. And this is sufficient for his reinstatement. This is the mystery of the Vaishnava devotional cult. Particularly, there are three processes for elevating one to the platform of spiritual consciousness. These processes are called karma, jnana, and bhakti. Ritualistic performances are in the field of karma. Speculative processes are in the field of jnana. One who has taken to bhakti, the devotional service of the Lord, need have nothing to do with the karma and or jnana. It has been already explained that pure devotional service is without anything of karma or jnana. Bhakti should have no thing of philosophical speculation or ritualistic performances. In this connection, Rupa Goswami gives Evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 25th chapter, verse 2, in which Lord Krishna says to Uddhava, the distinction between qualification and disqualification may be made in this person who are already elevated in discharging devotional service will never again take shelter of the process of fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. If one stick to devotional service and is conducted by a regulative principle given by the authorities and the acharya, that is the best qualification. This statement is supported in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, fifth chapter, verse 17, wherein Sri Narad Muni advises Vasudev thus, even if one does not execute his specific occupational duty, but immediately takes direct shelter of the lotus feet of Hari, Krishna, there will be no fault on this part. And in all circumstances, his position is secure. Even if by some bad association he falls down while executing devotional service, or if he doesn't finish the complete course of devotional service and dies untimely, untimely, still he is not at a loss. A person who is simply discharging his occupational duty in Varna and Ashram, however, with no Krishna consciousness, particularly does not gain the truth benefit of human life. The purport is that all conditioned souls who are engaged very practically in activities for sense gratification without knowing that this process will never help them get out the material contamination are awarded only with repeated births and deaths. In the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated by Rishabh to his sons, persons engaged in fruitive activities are repeatedly accepting birth and death. And until they develop a loving feeling for Vasudev, there will be no question of getting out from these stringent laws of material nature. As such, any person who is very seriously engaged in his occupational duties in the Varna and Ashrama and who does not develop love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, should be understood to be simply spoiling his human form of life. This is confirmed also in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th chapter, verse 32, in which the Lord says to Uddhav, my dear Uddhava, any person who takes shelter of me in complete surrender and follows my instruction, giving up all occupational duties, it is to be considered the first-class man. In this statement of Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is understood that people who are generally attracted to philanthropic, ethical, moral, altruistic, political, and social welfare activities may be considered nice man only in the calculation of material worth. From Srimad Bhagavatam and other authentic Vedic scriptures, we learn further that if a person simply acts in Krishna consciousness and discharge devotional service, he is considered to be far, far better situated than all of these persons engaged in philanthropic, ethical, moral, altruistic, and social welfare activities. The same thing is still more emphatically confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, 5th chapter, verse 41, in which Karavajana Muni addressed Maharaj Nimi as follows. My dear king, if someone gives up all occupational duties as they are prescribed for the different varna and ashram, but takes complete shelter, surrendering himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, such a person is no more a debtor, nor has he any obligation to perform the different kinds of activities we render to the great sages, ancestors, living entities, family, and society member. Nor has he any need to bother executing the 5 kinds of yajnas, sacrifices, for becoming free from sinful contamination. Simply by discharging devotional service, he is freed from all kinds of obligations. The purport is that as soon as a man takes his birth, he is immediately indebted to so many sources. He is indebted to the great sages because he profits by rendering their
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Maharaj has
Krishna.
come. Hare Krishna Maharaj, we welcome.
Haribol. Welcome. Turn off the fan. No, that's all right, but the fan. Okay, welcome. Just go on reading.
Yeah. He is indebted to great sages because he profits by rendering their authoritative scriptures and books. For example, we take advantage of the books written by Vyasdev. Vyasdev has left for us all the Vedas. Before Vyasdev's writing, the Vedic literature was simply heard, and the disciples would learn the mantras quickly by hearing and not by reading. Later on, Vyasdev thought it wise to write down the Vedas because in this age, people are short memorized and unable to remember all the instruction given by the spiritual master. Therefore, he left all the Vedic knowledge in the form of books, such as Puranas, Vedanta, Mahabharata, and Srimad Bhagavatam. There are many other sages like Shankaracharya, Gautam Muni, and Narad Muni, to whom we are indebted because we take advantage of their knowledge. Similarly, we are obliged to our forefathers because we take our birth in a particular family, where we take all advantage and inherit properties. Therefore, we are indebted to the forefathers and have to offer them pinda, prasada, after they are dead. Similarly, to the people in general, we are also indebted, as well as to our relatives, friends, and even animals such as cows and dogs who render us so much service. In this way, we are indebted to the demigods, to the forefathers, to the sages, to the animals, and to societies in general. It is our duty to repay them all by proper discharge of service. But by the one stroke of devotional service, if someone gives up all obligations and simply surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is no longer debtor nor obliged to any other source of benefit. In Bhagavad
Okay, stop a minute. It's
Hare
very
Krishna.
important. There's a verse, Sutap that anyway, there's a verse in the Bhagavatam 11th canto that says that. So that's when Krishna says, Sarva Dharma Parityajat. We can't possibly pay back all the debts we have. There's too many, and they keep increasing. Our parents, our forefathers, the country, the government, all these teachers, whoever's helped us our whole life. But if we surrender to Krishna, then automatically everybody's covered. We're doing the best thing for all those. We're paying back in the very best way. But in order to believe that, you have to understand who is Krishna. He's in everyone's heart. So Anyway, that's what it means. It doesn't mean you don't care about anybody else. It means you care more about everyone else. Okay? The people will challenge, what about taking care of this and that? But even Jesus, he said, let the dead bury the dead, you know. You come with me. Same idea. Okay, very good. I'm sorry. Well, I shouldn't say sorry, but thank you for going ahead. We were traveling and we're supposed to leave early and be here 2 hours ago, and traffic and leaving late, and life goes on. All right. So
Thank
carry
you.
on reading. I'm just going to listen.
Mataji, you can go ahead. Well, you are muted. You are muted.
Okay. Yeah. Where I stopped. In Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord says, give up all your occupations and just become surrender unto me. I give you assurance that I shall give you protection from all sinful reactions. One may think that because he is surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he will not be able to perform all of his other obligations. But the Lord says repeatedly, don't hesitate. Don't consider that because you are giving up all other engagements, there will be some flaw in your life. Don't think like that. I will give you all protection. That is the assurance of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. There is additional evidence in the Agastya Samhita. As the regulative principle of scriptures are not required by the liberated person, so the ritualistic principle included in the Vedic supplements are also not required for a person duly engaged in the service of Lord Ramchandra. In other words, the devotee of Lord Ramchandra or Krishna are already liberated person and are not required to follow all the regulative principles mentioned in the ritualistic portions of the Vedic literature. Similarly, in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th chapter, verse 42, Karabhajana Muni addressed King Nimi and says, my dear king, a person who has given up the worship of the demigod and has completely concentrated his energy in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has become very, very dear to the Lord. As such, if by chance or mistake he does something which is forbidden, there is no need for him to perform any purificatory ceremonies, because the Lord is situated within his son. He takes compassion for the devotee's accidental mistake and corrects him from within. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita in many places that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, takes a special interest in his devotees and declares emphatically that nothing can cause his devotee to fall down. He is always protecting them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any comments? You read a lot.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Yeah, Mara Dandavat Pranam. Here he said that you can leave all your activities and surrender unto me. I will take care of you. If the people thinks that I don't have any duties and I just have to be in one place and chant and surrender service to the Lord, and I don't have to think about my family and all that, is it okay or?
No, not, you don't have to think about your family. But you don't have to do all the rituals and everything for the sake of the ancestors and all these things, because if you're serving Krishna, then all that is automatically done. But if you have children, you have to take care of them. That's what Krishna gave you. You don't have to do all the other religious rituals like every culture has, but especially Hindu.
Yeah.
So many samskaras and so many things. They're not necessary for spiritual advancement. That will, it's all covered by the fact that you worship Krishna. Then all the demigods are satisfied, everyone's satisfied. Otherwise, you can't satisfy everybody. There's too many.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Anandini Danam Prabhu, your hand is raised up.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. I beg to offer my humble obeisances. Yeah, Maharaj, what I can deduce from what we read so far is, so long as you are discharging devotional service, as you rightly explained right now, that means there is no need of doing any other ritualistic activities. But Maharaj, when they talk of devotees here, what kind of devotee are they talking about? Because for us now, I'm not perfectly following the practices correctly. Or can we then say, so long as we are on the path, everything is taken care of? Or since we just started, it should be done alongside the chanting or the devotional service? I don't know if my question is clear.
Well, I don't know either, but we have to do our, like we read the other day, Vijam cha vijam cha. We have to cultivate knowledge and ignorance. We have to do both. We have a material body, we're living in the material world. So we have to do the necessity to maintain. If you have a family, you have to work, you have to maintain your family. But you also have to maintain spiritually. But you have to understand it's all coming from Krishna. So like in Vedic culture, I suppose in African Christian, there's many obligations. You're supposed to do rituals and yagyas and offerings to the ancestors and all that. But you don't have to do all that. It's automatically covered by the fact that you're serving Krishna. But sometimes we have to do it so that we don't make a disturbance in society. We have to do the funerals according to the way the society wants it, for instance, sometimes. Because otherwise they'll turn against us and family will hate Hare Krishna or something. So we don't want that, right? So sometimes we have to do the basic things of the local culture, but it's not necessary for the spiritual development. We do it in order to be able to function and preach. Yeah, it requires intelligence and discrimination. Wakata, they say in Japan. Understand? Comprende?
Anandini Danam.
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj. Prabhu, yes. So, but then, Maharaj, first of all, I would like to know, is administration, is it devotional service or it's not devotional?
Is
The
what?
reason why it's administration, is it spiritual or material? The reason why I'm asking is kings like Yudhishthira, Maharaj, and so forth, even though they are discharging devotional service, which is administration, but sometimes you could see that they perform other yagyas. Even though they are devotees of the Lord, So at what point or what are the instances whereby
What makes a devotional
someone
service?
has to do that? The tribe that I'm coming from,
What makes a devotional service is your attitude. You know, why are you doing it? Like we say, basically, when you give a gift, people say it's the thought that counts. You know, if you're doing something out of goodness, out of love, out of obligation to Krishna and Guru, that's devotional service. If you're doing it for your own material benefit, then it's not devotional service. It may be the same thing. Yeah. Cleaning the floor, cleaning the toilet, when the sewer backs up, can be devotional service. Doing artik cannot be if someone's doing artik for the wrong reason. Depends on your consciousness. Attitude is everything. Most important. So society, we have to have administrators. We have to have suit workers. We have to have businessmen. We have to have farmers. We need everything. Everybody has to working for the same purpose, though, for the benefit of everyone else. Everyone is important. Just like in your car. If you just take out one little screw in the carburetor, the engine won't run. Right? Anybody know about engines? You know, you just take out one little screw in it, then it won't run properly. Something that is so small, no one would even see it, or very hard to notice that it's not there. So everybody's necessary. The insects are necessary because they feed certain birds, and you know, they're all an important part of the balance of the world. And in the society, all the different people are important also, doing their work. Everybody's work is supporting somebody else's work. Okay?
Okay, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Think about it.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare
Somebody
Krishna
want to read
Maharaj.
more? Somebody want to read a little more?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat pranams. Please, I have a question.
Okay.
Undoubtedly, surrender is very important in devotional service. And the word is so simple, but I feel it entails a lot. Could you kindly elaborate on this term for me, surrender? What does it mean to show or to determine that a devotee has surrendered to the Supreme God? Hare Krishna.
Well, to follow the orders of the spiritual master. Surrender means to cooperate with Krishna. Basically for us. And to give up the fight, you know, okay, realize, you know, I'm trying to control I'm trying to control the material energy. I'm trying to be the, you know, the doer, the controller, and give up that false ego. And just admit, okay, I'm not all powerful. I'm a servant of Krishna. In the dictionary, it says, stop resisting to an enemy or opponent and submit to their authority. And give up or hand over a person, right, or possession, typically on compulsion or demand. So this means to give it up, you know. But it means basically cooperate with Krishna. Give up our idea to be the controller. Even the dictionary says like that. To give up, you know, your idea of power. We think, you know, I'm powerful, I can just defeat Krishna, I can defeat the material energy. No, we can't. It just means to give up. To renounce. Renounce is also a synonym of surrender. So that's what we want to do. We want to renounce. Okay, it's not mine. Everything belongs to Krishna. So here it's all yours, Krishna. Now tell me what to do. And then Krishna gives us, anyway, we don't lose anything by giving it to Krishna. You offer your food to Krishna, it's not like you're going to starve. Like somebody might think that, but you know, right? Does that make sense? That's basically, I think our definition is cooperate with Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you.
All right, well, another chapter now.
Chapter 6.
Great title, huh? How to discharge devotional service. So the earlier chapters are more like why to do devotional service. From so many different angles. So now is how to. This is one special feature of Prabhupada that not only told us, you know, you have to do this, told us why you should do it. Why should you do this? You know. Okay, who's the next to read? Welcome everybody today. We got the big attendance.
Anandini Dhanam.
Anandini yesterday got bad connection or had no battery or something. So Anandini, you want to read?
Yes, Maharaj, Hare Krishna. Okay. How to discharge devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami states that his elder brother, Sanatana Goswami, has compiled Hari Bhakti Vilasa for the guidance of Vaishnavas, and therein has mentioned many rules and regulations to be followed by the Vaishnavas. Some of them are very important and prominent, and Srila Rupa Goswami will now mention these very important items for our benefit. The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instruction of his spiritual master is considered a detail. For example, if one is following the instruction of his spiritual master, and that instruction is different from the instructions of another spiritual master, this is called detailed information. But the basic of acceptance of spiritual master is good everywhere, although the details may be different. So Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into details here, but wants to place before us only the principles. He mentions the basic principles as follows: accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master, becoming initiated by the spiritual master, and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. Obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion, following in the footsteps of great acharyas, teachers under the direction of the spiritual master, inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness, being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. This means that when we are engaged in devotional service of Krishna, we must prepare to give up something which we may not like to give up. And also we have to accept something which we may not like to accept. Residing in a sacred place of which we may not like to accept. Residing in a sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwaraka or Vrindavan, accepting only what is necessary or dealing with the material world only as far as necessary. Observing the fasting day on Ekadashi and worshiping sacred trees like the banyan tree. These 10 items are primary necessities for beginning the discharge of devotional service in regulative principles. In the beginning, if a neophyte devotee observes the above mentioned 10 principles, surely he will quickly make good advancement in Krishna consciousness. The set of instructions is listed as follows. One should rigidly give up the company of non-devotees. One should not instruct a person who is not desirous of accepting devotional service. One should not be very enthusiastic about constructing costly temples or monasteries. One should not try to read too many books, nor one should develop the idea of earning his livelihood by lecturing on our professional reciting Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. One should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. One should not be under the spell of lamentation in loss of jubilations in.
Stop a minute. So this number 5 is kind of an answer to the questions that were being asked. We should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. We have to do them. Take care of, pay your taxes, clean, take care of your family and do your job, be on time. Like we should do all those things. You shouldn't think, oh no, I'm spiritual and everybody should just come and serve me. We want to live externally look like everyone else, but internally completely different. Okay.
So
these are nice. Yep.
Yeah. So Maharaj, then why from this notion that if you are not a temple devotee, you cannot render devotional service? Why is it so? Because most of us think that if you are not in a temple, if you are not a temple devotee, you cannot perform your devotional service very well. Why from this notion? If being a devotee at home,
that's a totally wrong idea of some kind of puffed up person that lives in the temple thinks he's better than everyone else. Because one of Prabhupada's early articles in his Bhakti Godhead, it's called Perfection at Home. He wanted every house to be, what is a temple? Is where anybody's gathered together to serve Krishna. Now, it should be that easier if you live in the temple because of the atmosphere and everything. But some say, well, if you're not initiated, your service is useless. This is a very demoniac thing to say, actually, because like I said, everything depends on one's attitude. So if one is living in the temple, he's got first, second initiation, he's even sannyasi, but he's puffed up thinking I'm better than everyone else. He's not doing devotional service. He's just it's not devotional because he's thinking everything's for me, and a humble person sitting at home trying to chant, offering his food, trying to engage his children in chanting, they can be very advanced. Many householders that don't live in a temple are some of the biggest preachers in the movement. Otherwise, we have now in the whole world are at least 90% of our devotees are not living in the temple, but many of them have huge preaching programs online or live, and so many different things. That's just a really foolish idea that different people that want to prove I'm better than someone else come up and say stuff like that. And it's not good because it makes people stay away from the temple that are actually good devotees, because you call them outside devotees. And then the other thing about saying, well, you have to be initiated, you get people just pushing through to get initiated just because they think it's some sort of prestigious thing. And they don't really try to get qualified for an initiation to be a real service, have a service attitude. And then we get devotees getting initiated who aren't really qualified, which is also not good. Okay, you understand?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Thank
Good
you.
question. It's important. Number 7.
Okay, 7. One should not, number 7.
Residing.
Pardon me?
Residing, number 7.
One should not disturb. No, I think number 7.
One should not disrespect the demigod.
6.
One should not disrespect the demigods. 8. One should not give unnecessary trouble to any living entity. One should not carefully avoid the various offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord or in worshiping the deities in the temple. One should be very intolerant toward the blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his devotees. So, Maharaj, here is another question. Maharaj, what can we do when we see someone blaspheming devotees or Krishna? What can we do? Is it we should just walk away, or what are we supposed to do? I know in the olden days, sometimes people have to kill such people because they're demonic. But in this age of Kali, what do we do? Whereas everywhere people are criticizing devotion, talking ill about devotees, what actually could be our position when we hear things like such? What should we do?
Well, we should avoid it. If we're powerful enough to correct them, and we can do that, that's not very likely because people that are blaspheming devotees are generally very envious, and so we should avoid, like it said, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, if he heard anybody criticizing a devotee, even if it was true what they were saying, he would just leave it. He wouldn't stay around to hear it. That's intelligent. You just don't listen. So, so we have to be very careful because, like on the internet nowadays, there's so many people criticizing devotees, and in Kali Yuga, it's our nature to try to criticize someone else to make it seem like we're better than them. But so we try to spread the truth, to anybody who will listen. And sometimes someone's criticizing devotees and they can be corrected, they will listen. But most of the time, no, they won't hear it. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear anything good about anybody except themselves. So they may be some kind of devotee, Kanishta devotee, third-class devotee that, they think I'm the best of the devotees. It's even described in scripture like that. They think those devotees that live in the temple, they're not real devotees. They're just pretending to be devotees so they can live in the temple and eat and sleep for free or something. And I'm the best devotee because I stay home and I don't go out and preach and disturb people. I just worship my deity and take prasadam, and I offer nice things. You know, there's people are thinking like that. So we should just avoid as much as possible. And if there's somebody that's, you know, in our community that's just really determined to only criticize everybody, we want them to leave. We don't want them living in the temple, and we try to keep them away then from everybody. Lord Chaitanya didn't like to hear criticism of the devotee. She doesn't like it. He said when there's criticism of devotees, Krishna leaves. That's why you'll feel very uncomfortable and unhappy if people are criticizing devotees.
Maharaj, I have one question.
All right.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
We know that this is not good, that we should criticize the devotee. But sometimes it happens that if somebody does something wrong, and if we are talking to someone, we are telling that this person has done this person done this, then how to avoid that?
Well, now another thing is sometimes we have to criticize it, but if we're criticizing out of compassion to help somebody, to point out you're doing this is wrong what you're doing, and this is what you should be doing. If you're doing it out of love.
No, not that person we are going to tell. We just, when we are talking to other person, then we say that this person has done this to me, is not good, like that. How to avoid to like gossiping?
Well, best thing if we can just stay away from, just say, excuse me, but I have to go now. Unless you're powerful enough to correct the person, because philosophically, it's true. People do things to us, People talk behind our back, people cheat us, accuse us of things we didn't do. But we should avoid as much as we can. So like whenever we're together with devotees, we should have lots of kirtan, focus on reading the books, focus on the service, and keep the atmosphere very pure. So there's no room for that kind of talk. All right?
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
One point, the last thing here seems like a contradiction. One should be very intolerant toward the blasphemy. That means we don't tolerate. So, but we always hear we should be tolerant. So we can make a mistake and someone's blaspheming Krishna, and we can just listen and listen and listen, thinking I have to tolerate. Then you'll get poisoned. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta, he criticized all the Mayavadis, he criticized the Sahajis, but he criticized the philosophy. And people accused him. They said he's not following Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said you should be tolerant more than a tree. But he's always criticizing his people. And Prabhupada had the same. People said, Prabhupada's so nice, but he criticizes, some of these famous so-called saintly people in India that were just complete Mayavadis and misleading people. And Prabhupada would say, I'm not. Krishna said, therefore. So when we preach and teach, then we can point out, these things. It should be something we stress, because the first offense against the holy name is to blaspheme devotees. So if someone's blaspheming devotees, they won't be able to chant properly. They won't get the benefit of chanting. They may think I'm very intelligent and I know how to point out all the defects, what everybody's doing wrong, but they're not going to get the benefit of the chanting the holy name. All right. So the next one explains more about it. Anand, you want to read more, Dina? Or?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. So without following the above mentioned 10 principles, one cannot properly elevate himself to the platform of sadhana bhakti or devotional service in practice. Altogether, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions 20 items, and all of them are very important. Out of 20, the first 3, namely accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, taking initiation from him, and serving him with respect and reverence, are the most important. So, Maharaj, here is another question. Normally, at what point, if someone joined the movement, for how long do him or she have to stay in the movement and take initiation? For how long?
Well, there's no hard and fast rules.
Pardon me?
You could say at least 1 year that they're chanting 16 rounds and following the principle. But many times longer. It depends on how much they surrender, how much they really have a service attitude. So the basic used to be 6 months, but sometimes it's shorter. We can just see that somebody is, very, very pure and advanced. But sometimes, a lot of times nowadays longer, because most of our devotees don't live in the temple, and we don't observe them day by day and know for sure how they're acting. But, we only see them sometimes. So there's no hard and fast rules. They may accept spiritual master from the very beginning if they start chanting, if they start following the principles of reading Prabhupada's books, and they're accepting Prabhupada as a Shiksha Guru right off. And some people they come to the temple and they hear Bhakti Damodar speaking or Srivas Prabhu, and they immediately say, I want him to be my guru. They decide like the first day, and they never change. Other people can't make up their mind. Well, maybe this one, maybe that one. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe I heard about somebody in India, maybe this, maybe that. So, different people are different. Some people take a long time. So there's no hard and fast rules. It's not exactly like school or something, Okay, if you just take all the courses and you take the exams, and in 1 year you get this degree, in 3 years you get that one. It's not exactly like that. It depends on one's performance, one's degree of surrender.
Okay.
So it's interesting, though, that out of the 20 items, the first 3, which are all the same practically, are the most important. But it says, taking initiation from him and serving with respect and reverence. This is the secret. Not just getting a name and some new neck beads, and then thinking, now I'm a better devotee than everyone else. Initiation means now you can really serve the Guru even more, in a more humble state of mind. And the Guru wants us to serve all the devotees. All right.
Okay, Maharaj.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Then what to do if we can't serve the Guru Maharaj personally? How to serve him? Like,
Well, that's the thing. It's care of the heart, accepting a guru. So one has to feel inspired. Who is really inspiring me the most to serve Krishna? You can't legislate that. You can't say, okay, everybody has to be initiated by my guru because I like my guru the best. My guru is better than other gurus. For you, your guru is better, but for someone else, another guru might be better. So we just try to teach the principles, and so someone can recognize, know what is the guru. Right? Something like marriage, how do you choose your husband? It's, I guess you'd be lucky if we're in a society where the parents just choose and all the children are completely submissive and it works out. But nowadays it's not like that, But you can't give a formula of, look for someone that has this income or this type of car or, this type of job or something. Then it'll never work out. There has to be a connection. So for spiritual master, it's whoever, we get inspired the most to serve Krishna and serve the society of Prabhupada, feel a connection with Prabhupada.
and Maharaj, if we are doing some service and our Guru Maharaj know they have plenty, thousands of disciples. Can he recognize us, like if you are not in contact with him or anything?
Yeah, he does, because Super Soul is connected to everybody. So the Super Soul knows. Krishna is the original guru, he knows. And the guru will know. It's mystical. We can't materially explain it, but he knows. And he'll be blessing everybody anyway, praying to Krishna for all the disciples. Some will actually be, like Prabhupada, very few devotees were ever really close to Prabhupada and massaging him. Not very many, but we had so many disciples. But everybody felt that if we're both chanting, we're connected, no matter where you are in the world. All right? So the matter of faith, we have to understand it is a spiritual thing. Krishna knows everything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, who can read next? New reader for the next important items are as follows. Who didn't read or who's next? Stalika?
The next important.
Okay, the next important items. Read out loud.
The next important items as follows. One should decorate the body with tilak, which is the son of Vaishnavas. The idea is that as soon as a person sees these marks on the body, on the Vaishnava, he immediately remembers Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya said that a Vaishnava is he who, when seen, remains one of Krishna. Therefore, it is essential that reminds one of Krishna. Therefore, it is essential that a Vaishnava mark his body with tilak to remind orders of Krishna. 2. In
Now
making such
that's interesting, but there's Vedic injunction that if someone just sees the tilak, they can be liberated. So if you just keep tilak and you go out, you're benefiting everyone who sees you. Some people may not like it. Other people will like it very much. When I met Charlie Boy's father, he especially liked the tilak. He said, "What is that?" And then he told me, "We have something like that. And somewhere in the culture of some tribe, they have something that looks a lot like our tilak." Okay, 2.
in making such tilak, sometimes one may write Hare Krishna on the body. 3. One should accept flowers and garlands that have been offered to the deity and the spiritual master and put them on one's body. 4. One should learn to dance before the deity. 5. One should learn to bow down immediately upon seeing the deity or the spiritual master. 6. As soon as one visits a temple of Lord Krishna, one must stand up. 7. When the deity is being burned for scroll in the streets, a devotee should immediately follow the procession. In this connection, it may be noted that in India, especially in Vishnu temples, the system is that apart from the big deity, who is permanently situated in the main area of the temple, there is a set of smaller deities which are taken in procession in the evening. In some temples, it is the custom to hold a big procession in the evening with a band playing and a nice big umbrella over the deities, who sit on the decorated thrones on the cart or palanquin, which is carried by the devotees. The deities come out onto the street and travel in the neighborhood while the people of the neighborhood come out to offer prasad. The residents of the neighborhood all follow the procession. So it is a very nice thing. When the deity is coming out, the visitors in the temple put forward the daily account before them. So much was the correction. So much was the expenditure. The whole idea is that the deity is considered to be the proprietor of the whole establishment, and all the priests and other people who take care of the temple are considered to be the servant of the deity. This system is very, very old and is still followed. So therefore, it is mentioned here that when the deity is on scroll, the people should follow behind. 8. A devotee must visit a Vishnu temple at least once or twice every day, morning and evening. In Vrindavan, this system is followed very strictly. All devotees in town go every morning and evening to visit different temples. Therefore, during these times, there are considerable crowd over the city. There are about 5,000 temples in Vrindavan city. Of course, it is not possible to visit all the temples, but there are at least 1 dozen very big and important temples which were started by Goswamis and which should be visited. 9. One must circumambulate the temple building at least 3 times. In every temple, there is an arrangement to go around the temple at least 3 times. Some devotees go around more than 3 times, 10 times, 15 times, according to their vows. The Goswami used to circumambulate Govardhana Hill One should also circumambulate the whole Vrindavan area. One must worship the deity in the temple according to the regulative principles, offering arati and prasadam, decorating the deity, etc. These things.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I
Yeah.
have one question. That is mentioned here that we should go 2 times every day. But if it is not possible, then we can worship in the house. Is it okay what we are doing in the house?
Yes, because your house is a temple.
Okay.
That's a temple. Most devotees, their house is a temple. They have some deity, some kind of altar. That's also a temple.
Hare Krishna.
Some of these things are for, of course, like in India, it's easy. You know, there's so many temples. If you go to the Muslim countries, there's so many mosques, you know. The government builds them everywhere, so it's very easy for people to visit the mosque every day. But you know, now and for us, we don't have a lot of official temples, but the devotee's house, your house is a temple, so that counts. As long as you keep it at, you know, your place of worship, it's also a temple.
Okay, thank
Our
you.
devotees just get together. 2 devotees get together and chant. That's a temple. Okay.
11.
Yes.
11. One must render personal service to the deities. 12. One must sing. One must perform sankirtan. One must chant.
Chant.
One must offer prayers. One must recite a notable prayers. One must taste Mahaprasadam, food from the valley plate offered before the deities. One must drink Charatamrita, water from the basin of the deities. One should offer to the guest. One must smell the incense and flowers offered to the deities. One must touch the lotus feet of the deities. One must see the deity with a great devotion. One must offer arti, aratrika, at different times. One must hear about the Lord and his pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, similar books. One must pray for the deities for his mercy. One should remember the deity. One should meditate upon the deity. One should render some voluntary service. One should think of the Lord as one's friend. One should offer everything to the Lord. One should offer a favorite article, such as food or garment. One should take all kinds of risks and perform all endeavors for Krishna's benefit. For Krishna's benefit. In every condition, one should be surrendered to. One should pour water on the Tulasi tree. One should regularly hear the Srimad Bhagavatam and similar lectures. One should live in the sacred place like Mathura, Vrindavan, or Dwaraka. One should offer service to Vaishnava devotees. One should arrange one devotional service according to one's needs. In the month of Kartik, October and November, one should make arrangements for special service. During Jamastan, the time of Krishna's appearance in this world, one should observe a special service. One should do whatever is done with great care and devotion for the deity. One should relish the pressure of Srimad Bhagavatam reading among devotees and not among outsiders. One should associate with devotees who are considered more advanced. One should chant the holy name of the Lord. One should live in the jurisdiction of Mathura. Now, the total regulative principle comes to an aggregate of 64 items. As we have mentioned, the first are preliminary 10 regulative principles. Then come the secondary 10 regulative principles, and added these are 40 other activities. So all together are 64 items for discharging the regulative principle of devotional service. Out of these 64 items, 5 items, namely worshiping the deity, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, association among the devotees, Sankirtan, and living in Mathura are very important. The 64 items of devotional service should include all our activities of body, mind, and speech, as stated in the beginning. In the regulative principle of devotional service enjoins that all our senses must be employed in the service of the Lord. Exactly how they can thus employed is described in above 64 items. Now, Sri Rupa Goswami would give evidence from different scriptures supporting the authenticity of many of these points. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Gurudev.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So all those things are like part of our basic life. Not necessarily have to do all of them, but we do mostly all of them every day in our just basic sadhana.
Maharaj, please, I have a question on point 11. Point 11. One must
11.
render personal service to the deities, and one must perform sankirtan. This is my 2 questions. How can one perform personal service to the deities whereby you are not a pujari?
Well, the deity, the holy name is the deity. Also, and like I said, most devotees have some sort of deity at home, picture of Krishna. So you offer food, you cook for the deity. You can serve the deity in the temple by preaching, even if you're far away from the temple, by giving people the holy name, by giving books, by telling people about Krishna. That's also personal service to the deity. Preaching is the most personal service. And if possible, if you go to the temple, do some service, which cleaning the temple is personal service. Washing the pots is personal service. Leading a kirtan is personal service. Giving some flowers or fruit, vegetables, rice when you come to the temple is personal service. So many different ways. Krishna is a person. And preaching is very personal service. So try to tell people about Krishna, even if you're nowhere near the deity physically, it's personal service. You believe it? You better believe it.
Yes, Maharaj. I believe it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Try to believe it. Just say, I believe it, and you will.
I believe.
Hare
Remember
Krishna
to
Maharaj.
say, I want to chant, I want to preach, I want to, serve devotees. Never say I have to, I want to. Then
Yes,
it'll
but
change your life.
Maharaj, my next question is, in Africa here to preaching or to give books. It is very difficult. Even sometimes when we want to give Srila Prabhupada books free, people don't accept it. For instance, there was a program 3 days ago. I went with Banachari Maharaj Shimas, a big program. Only 4 books we were able to give out. Even some people, we wanted to give them freely, but they are not interested. I don't know why it is like that. I don't know if you can throw more light about this.
Well, it's not just Africa. We're just reading a purport yesterday. Prabhupada said, you know, everyone should serve Krishna, but most people don't want to. But devotees try to encourage people. They try to make arrangements. That's why we go out on Harinam. People, it gives people a chance to serve. They can hear the holy name. They might appreciate the devotees. They might get a book. That's why we make temples, you know, because people can visit the temple. They can do some service, even just bowing down in the temple or just giving a little donation, taking prasadam. It's all service. Some of these things, of course, we automatically do. We chant, we dance, we do Sankirtan, we chant together, take Charnamrita for the temple, smell incense. So, you know, that's easy. If you're home, you light some incense and offer to Krishna. We do all those things. Take care of Tulsi. One should chant the holy name of the Lord. One should associate with devotees. Relish Bhagavatam along with devotees. Okay, so want to read more? We have 10 minutes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Now, Prabhupada said, if I told you everything, you'd faint. This is just 64 items, you know. There's much, much more, but that's why we read earlier, it all summarized in 2 principles. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So whatever we do, we want to do things that help us remember Krishna. Then everything else is covered. Otherwise, if you try to do all 64 of these things every day, you might not succeed. You might be tired. Okay, who want to read now?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah.
Please, I will need some clarification on point 9.
Okay.
Point 9 talks about circumambulation of the temple. Why should you go around the temple?
Because the deity is in the temple. So when you go around, it's like traveling all over the universe. It's a way of honoring the Lord. Like we go around Tulsi, we go around Govardhan, we go around Vrindavan, we go around the temple. Now, it's not always possible in many places to go around the temple. You have to go around the whole block, you know. You have to walk really far. But that's still good. But we can just go around Tulsi. It's just a way of honoring the deity in the temple. It's purifying. So when
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
generally now, if devotees actually design the temple and build it, then it's set up so that there's a walkway around the altar, you know, you can walk behind and go around. It's a circumambulation path. Mayapur has that, you know, so the devotees go around every day. Prabhupada went around and he really enjoyed it, ringing the bell. Vrindavan, they have one outside, not inside, but you know, it's there. So you can go around very easy. And if you go around Vrindavan, then you go around 5,000 temples. And that's why you feel so good if you walk and spend a couple hours walking around Vrindavan. If you go around Govardhan, of course, Govardhan is Krishna, but there's so many temples all around Govardhan also, and there's Radhakund, Shamakund. So we get so much benefit. It's always, something to do. All right.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I just want to know if so many people, they don't get chance of like go to Vrindavan, Govardhan. So how they can do the things properly?
No, you chant the holy name. The temple is the same. Ultimately, it's the same. Spiritually, you can get the same benefit. You can go around Tulsi. Or if somebody has Shalagam Shila or Govardhan Shila, sometimes we can go around that. And you can just go to Vrindavan. Prabhupada said Vrindavan is not for seeing, it's for hearing. So if we're hearing properly from the spiritual master, which means Prabhupada specifically, others who are also experienced, that's the real way to visit Vrindavan. Just getting on the bus and going there, may not be that someone's really going to Vrindavan. Their consciousness may be somewhere else. So by reading about Vrindavan and Krishna's pastimes, you also experience Vrindavan. It's the highest experience. And if you go there, you should be doing that also. Not just go to Vrindavan and spend all day on WeChat, on WhatsApp, talking to your friends somewhere else. Get absorbed in Vrindavan. So some devotees can do that no matter where they are, because they're just absorbed in the Krishna's Leela. And the deity is Krishna, wherever it is, whatever country he's in, it's Krishna. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. That's Krishna's mercy. Like I said before, Prabhupada said many times, he said, I'm not in New York, I am in Vrindavan, I'm always in Vrindavan. But he was traveling all over the world. He only went to Vrindavan once a year. But everywhere he was, he said, I'm actually in Vrindavan. And he was. And we might be physically in Vrindavan, but actually in Accra or Lagos. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, we got a little bit more, then there's one more paragraph in this chapter. Who would like to read it? Same? Raganuga?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, read that last chapter. Last paragraph in the chapter.
Okay.
It's not on the board now.
The 60,
should
The
include
purport is
all.
that
the 64 items of devotional service should include all of our activities of body, mind, and speech, as stated in the beginning. The regulative principle of devotional service enjoins that all of our senses must be employed in the service of the Lord. Exactly how they can be thus employed is described in the above 64 items. Now, Srila Rupa Goswami will give evidence from different scriptures supporting the authenticity of many of these.
You are reading somewhere different, though.
Mara said I should read the last paragraph in that chapter.
No. We are reading chapter 7 now. The second paragraph is what
No, we didn't finish that chapter 6, the last paragraph. And
Okay.
we don't have, we only have a few minutes, so we just want to go over this, the previous paragraph also.
Okay then.
Out of these 64 items, it says, what is the most important? 5 most important activities. This we should really note down and remember. So someone read them.
Out of 64 items, 5 items, namely worshipping the deity, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating among the devotees, Sankirtan, and living in the Mathura, are very important.
Okay, so we may physically living in Mathura is not for everybody, but it means also any holy place. But everyone can hear Srimad Bhagavatam, everyone can associate with devotees, and everyone can do Sankirtan. Kirtan means chanting the holy name. It also means reading about, talking about the scripture in any way, talking about Krishna's glories. Sankirtan means many, many together doing it. So that, we should be doing regularly. Sankirtan has come to mean in ISKCON a lot. They think Sankirtan means book distribution. Then we have Harinam. Sankirtan means going out to chant. Those are not the exact meanings, but that's what it's come to be in ISKCON. In Sanskrit, there's Nagar Sankirtan. Nagar means a city. So Nagar Sankirtan means chanting in the street, chanting in public. We want Krishna Kirtan, of course. Many people say they're doing Kirtan, but they never chant Hare Krishna. They're chanting all the demigods, and they're chanting, even cinema songs, all kinds of things. But real Kirtan is Krishna Kirtan. And of course, that's all we do. Sometimes people ask us, don't you have any other songs? Yeah, we have many, but this is the best one. So we just chant this one. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
So the total, this is the second to last paragraph. The total regulated principles come to an aggregate of 64 items. As mentioned, the first are the primary 10, then come the secondary 10. Then there's 44 other, altogether 64. So they're just to help us know what to do. We can't maybe do all of them every day, but these are things that we should, and some people will focus on others, not everybody does exactly the same thing, but it's just a good guideline. So time is up. This is, the next chapter is evidence regarding these things, where Rupa Goswami is giving scriptural references to why these things are recommended and what the value is. So this nectar devotion, and actually all the scripture, all the questions that come up while we're reading, they get answered as we continue reading. That's just the way it works. It's just Krishna just arranged it that way. So brilliant. So thank everybody, and I hope you have a good Sunday program.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for being here for us.
I moved from the eco villages for today. There's a big youth festival tonight. 2,000 youth are coming. So the Sri Krishna Chaitanya is going to do a music festival and advertising it. So it should be quite exciting. And nice to see so many in attendance. So let's focus now on book distribution, which is what the world needs. And like that, you know, Buddhist tradition is very purifying. In every culture, the Christian monks, Buddhist monks, Hindu monks, the preaching going out was like not to get money. They would get begging, but it was, of course, to engage other people, but also to learn humility, because most people reject you. Most people won't take it, you know. So you have to learn to just, okay, fine. Thank you very much. You have to be nice to the people, you have to be humble, and carry on no matter what. And then Krishna will give you great blessings. And then gradually more and more people will come that are receptive also. All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakarpatarubhyascha, Kripasindubhyascha, Patitanam Vaishnavyo, Vaishnavyo.
There's some really good smelling flowers here, but you can't smell them. We don't have that facility yet. The internet. They'll probably soon enough come up with it. But now we can only see and hear, can't feel and touch and smell.
Yeah, Prabhupada said all of this yogi siddhi can.
Arigato gozaimashita, shukran, and all those different ways of saying thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Okay, dear devotees, thank you very much for being here. So we'll see you all by next week. Thank you for participating. Thank you for joining in time. And I didn't tell them, Prabhu, you raised your hand at a point, but I didn't want to interrupt Maharaj. So did you have something to share with us?
Yeah, but I think his time is not that conducive. That's why I lower my hand, so no problem. But we would like to thank you for the wonderful service you are doing.
Thank you, Krishna, for giving us the opportunity. Thank you for allowing us to serve.
You are a jack of all trades. You can do so many things at the same time, no problem. We really appreciate what you.
Thank you very much. It's Guru and Krishna's mercy. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you all. So we'll see you next weekend.
Yes.
Oh, next weekend is Jamastami. So
Prabhuji, yeah, Sunday we need a holiday.
Yeah, we'll discuss with Chaitanya Prabhupada, because from Friday, activities will be busy. Friday is Jamastami, Saturday is Prabhupada's appearance, and the Sunday is the main celebration. So I think we're going to be having a weekend free next week.
Yes,
I'll facilitate that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.